Mm. So, hi everybody, and welcome to our Lovely People webinar. So, today we were going to have lovely Michael on our webinar, but unfortunately, there was a little bit of an accident. Believe it was his wife. Nothing serious, I don't think, but he couldn't make tonight, unfortunately. So, lovely Leonard valiantly stepped into the breach. So, so I am as keen as anyone else to find out a little bit about Leonard, because we only met very briefly this afternoon when he valiantly stepped up to the mark. So we've had a very, very brief conversation, but it would really, really be great to know a little bit more about you. And I know there's some people on this call tonight who are pretty new to this understanding that we're going to be talking about. And also I know a lot of people that watch the recordings of this are quite new. So don't worry if things sound confusing. There will be plenty of time to ask questions. And if anything, comes to you, please feel free to put your hand up or jump in and join in and make this a discussion, because we just love these webinars to just unfold however they do and meander and go where they go. So Leonard, would you like to tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. My name is Leonard Irwin. I live in a lovely little town called Kingston, Ontario, Canada. It is on the north shore of where the St. Lawrence River meets Lake Ontario, one of the Great Lakes. I live with my lovely wife, her brother, and our two cats. I am a performance coach. I call myself a performance coach, so I like to help individuals and organizations up their game. I do that mainly because I have a drama background, so it just kind of made sense. I also am co-owner of a murder mystery theater company, so we do those, and I also have a part-time job that I love to do because it keeps me sharp with my sales skills and all that other fun stuff. I got into the principles after Michael Neal's book, The Inside Out Revolution, on Labor Day weekend 2013. And that book completely changed my life and gave me the father that I always wanted as a boy. So, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. My that fall, the last 10 weeks of my dad's life, my dad passed away November 7th, 2013. The last 10 weeks of his life were the best I ever had as a son with him. Seeing where I was making him who I thought he was completely changed our relationship completely. And if anybody's listening, if you still have parents around and you're having problems with them, please really look to where these people are pointing, where we're trying to point you to, because it will change your life. It will be one huge aha moment that you'll never forget. When you see it, it'll change everything.
Thank you. That's lovely. So can you tell us a little bit about, you're kind of saying, oh, listen to this, if you have an aha moment, if you see something, if you were working with someone, or like tonight, if there's people here,
right,
can you give us a little bit of what it is you're pointing towards? What is this mystery?
It's not really a mystery. It's funny. It's like, how do I say it? So what I do is I help people conquer their negative self-talk. Let me start at that point. All of my life I was looking, and I don't know why, but I was conditioned to look. Yeah, I just turned my phone off too. I know. I don't want it to go off. Go buzz buzz. Not going to. I try. We're looking at something we're describing something, now prescribing something. So we're trying to get you to look at what's already happening in your life 24/7. I like to say to my clients, it's the inner stage. It's the space where everything happens. I guess we can sit here and say it's thought and it's energy and all that woo-woo stuff, and it is. But it's simply seeing that your experience from life comes 100% from your thoughts. And the speed of thought is like faster than the speed of light, I think. And when you can see that, it slows down. For example, I say my father, I had this idea that my dad was let's just say, a dark overlord of my life when I was younger, if I can put it that way, as a character. And then when I read Michael Neal's book, The Inside Out Revolution, it's funny, the first thing that I thought was, he's not so bad. He's okay. And I'm making him up. I've been carrying forward from who knows how long as a kid. I'm 55 now. So when I was 50, came to this understanding, and I finally got my dad, the man I always wanted to love me, hug me, hold me, whatever. My dad wasn't that type of a guy, but I mean, we connected. And when I started to see how I was creating my father by believing all the negative self-talk that were powered by thoughts in my life, I was going like, holy crap, what happened there? I remember literally being at there's a chain of stores. You might have coffee shops in North America called Starbucks. I don't know if you have them in the UK.
Yep.
And I was literally sitting there having a coffee after reading this book, and I'd read it for like the 4th time in 3 days, and I'm waiting in line, and I did nothing. It was like it felt like my head went like something had just been taken out. That I cannot explain it to you other than that. Something just, I guess, is a British saying, the penny dropped.
Yep.
Am I using it right? The aha, the penny drop, the click. And all of a sudden, like, I started seeing how I've been making my dad to be this guy that I thought he was, and I was like 5, 15, 25, 35, 45. And it's been one of the most beautiful times of my life, the last 5 years. I get to sit and talk with people and call them on where they think their problems are coming from, and to gently, and sometimes being a gentle hard ass, point them to, from a place of love, and I'll say that I'm saying this from love, that it looks a different way. It's just a different perspective. Sometimes people will get it right away. Some people, I'm talking for 3 or 4 hours, and I'm like, they're just not getting it. And I say to people, this isn't something that I'm simply a guide. I said, if you can imagine 500 years ago, the natives guiding the Europeans through North America, I'm trying to guide you through an unknown land that you're already within. You're just not seeing how it's being made.
So what would you say to somebody who maybe said something like, that the person that I'm thinking about really is a horrible person. I get you made your dad up, but this person that I'm seeing, they actually really are not nice.
They're really not nice. They're real, what, or they're a son of a, what? Yeah. Let's keep this clean. I would say, okay, I've been there, but I would really encourage you to, again, look at where I'm trying to point you to. I go, just let's play a game. Let's imagine that you believe that 100% of your experience in life is coming from thought, and it's not coming from the circumstance or the situation between yourself and another person or your history. Let's pretend that. And let's look at the thought. And sometimes, and I'll try to say to them, it's not, I said, I have a limited way. I said, I'm not the most eloquent speaker. I'm just trying to help you see that it's not the words that I'm saying. I'm trying to get you to remember something when you were maybe a kid and you forgot. Or if you can see as a kid that all you've done is you've simply, like I did, you were caught up in the negative self-talk of, so that you think that person is a what. Okay, so let's say you believe, let's say they are. So that doesn't mean that doesn't mean that you have to believe that. That doesn't mean that you have to treat them that way. It could mean that simply that's the way you're seeing them right then and there. Do you believe everything that that you think in your head? Like, do you believe everything? Most people will go, of course, no, of course not. I'm a grown up, or I'm not that dumb or whatever, right? I'll go, okay, so what if, and I said, it's not me being right and you being wrong. That's not what I'm saying. What if you simply looked at the fact that there is thought, and that there's a thought, and the thought and feeling come together. I said, it's like when I was in theater school, there was always talk of, oh, when you're reading Shakespeare, where are the words? Is the feeling in the words, and is it in something else, or do you go outside of that? And I go, no. A good playwright always knows always thinks about that. Think about that. Your mind is a streaming service like Netflix. Think of it as a streaming service. I said to people, think of it as nature's streaming service. And it's bringing you all this stuff, and you're not in control of it. It's just coming to you. Now, what if you just said, okay, I think this person's a real you-know-what, but I'm going to go out and just have a coffee with them and simply sit there and listen to them. And I'm not going to react. I'm just going to sit there and listen. And I said to some people, go and ask that person for a coffee. And a lot of times they'll come back and say to me, it wasn't so bad. I didn't reach over and, rip her head off and down her throat. I've had people say that to me. I said, well, what did you do? Well, nothing, which was unusual. I didn't feel like I had to do anything. And I'm not sure what's happening to me, but can we have another conversation? And I'll go, okay.
So can you tell me a little bit more about what it exactly is that you're pointing people towards?
I would say, if it was my words, I would say peace of mind, joy, love, acceptance, fun, goofiness, being a kid. And again, it's something that you're doing it all the time. That's one of the things that really, it took me almost 2 years to go from an intellectual understanding to a heart, understanding of the principles. And if you're not getting it, don't worry. I'm still waking up after 5 years, so that's okay. I'm pointing to the energy of life, that there's something powering our thoughts. It's like I once heard an analogy, if anybody here has a kid, or I have a niece and nephew, and on the farm one time, my nephew cut his hand on a rock. Well, we were talking, and he said, "Owie, like, what do I do?" I said, "Nothing. It will heal itself," and it did. And I was trying to explain to him how it happens, and I said, just like there's a power of our nervous system, and we just simply know how to heal ourselves, our minds have a self-cleaning mechanism that when we get all caught up in our negative self-talk and we get feeling insecure or worried or nervous or anxious or depressed because of some stuff like that, you can always know that there is a space underneath all that where you're okay. And you have this ability to simply allow the thoughts to run, as I say, to let the television, let the Netflix, let the negative channel run on your streaming service. And also, ask yourself, are you okay? You might be surprised to find out that you are. That 100% of your suffering, I believe, is mental. I mean, yes, of course, there's mental pain, and if we stub our toe, we want to say an expletive, or, if somebody walks up and hits you, or of course, there's pain. That's physical pain, but then afterwards, it's carrying forward the memory of that is just thought. And I know that sounds very simplistic, and it is, and it isn't, because we're all thinkers. We all think. And I'm trying to point to people that are in my life right now, who I'm working with, that this is simply the way life works. It's not your boss yelling and screaming at you because you forgot to do this thing that was really important to them. It's, yes, they're upset at you, okay, and you made a mistake, but your mind is actually creating, the streaming service of the mind is creating the scenario, bringing the content to you, and that content is powered by thought. And when you see it as a content, you kind of can, as you say, you can kind of step back, take one step back from the stage, from the camera, and go, oh. And I've had times in my life where I've had felt like that separation, and it's felt like somebody's booting me between the ears going outwards. I can't explain it. It's just like it's like the space in my mind has gotten so quiet, sometimes it scares me. Like being alone with my thoughts, seeing who I really am is okay. And if I can do it, coming from an abusive background at the age of 50, and it happened, I say to people, anybody can get clarity. Anybody can find maybe what you're looking for. And you don't need to look outside of yourself like I did for 5 decades. You can simply just stop. Look, you can, and I know this is easier said than done, but you can stop, take a break, and see what happens if you just give yourself permission to get off the horse of always looking and searching for something, and just be with your thoughts. That's what I did. I started to just simply come in a room. This is my computer room, and allow whatever was a negative self-talk in the moment, whatever was on the show, to run. And I would sit here and let myself feel it, but I was okay. And that's what I'm pointing to.
We all have that inbuilt wisdom, don't we? Like when we describe how it happened for us, when we saw something and our life began to change, it can sometimes sound as if we're kind of saying, oh, do the same thing. But there is a magic within just looking in this direction, isn't there? I can hear that's what you're trying to describe. And then, like you said, you would come into your computer room and sit quietly, and that was your wisdom guiding you inside you.
Oh, absolutely. And simply, or going for a walk in nature. I mean, how many people have ever gone for a walk in nature hoping, that you're going to connect with something, and the volume gets turned up. The volume goes up when you're in nature. I mean, I was raised on a farm. I can tell you, I had some of the most beautiful scenery around ponds, creeks, fields, animals, and I was still miserable. I was still unhappy. I was still, poor me, why me, all that. And it felt like this was going on in my head, the hamster on the wheel. And I kept looking outside of myself, and it was more of don't even know, I can't explain how it happened. It was like I was known as a searcher. I was looking for something, but I couldn't tell you what I was looking for. I just believed that there was something fundamentally flawed or wrong with me. And I don't even know where that came from. You know, I don't know how they would say it in Britain over here. They'd say, you know, you're broken, you're cracked, you're messed up, you're, you know, what up, you're all this, you're manure, whatever, you're shit, you're whatever. And I remember the first day that I came in here, and I was all up in my head about my father's dying, and I haven't, or he hasn't apologized for this. He hasn't said he's sorry for that. He did this to me. He did that to me. Now, on one level, it was true, but on another level, I knew, and I can't tell you how, I just knew that sitting here looking, because there's a window behind me, there's a window that way, looking out the window and just watching the clouds go by, I was 100% okay sitting with my thoughts alone in this room for probably an hour. And I thought, nobody's come and take me away. Nobody's come and beat me. Nobody's done anything that I'm thinking or that I'm hearing is going to happen. And the volume got really loud to the point where I was like probably ready to, I don't know, you want to bang your head against a wall because it's so loud sometimes in your mind that you want to distract yourself. It's like if you stub your toe, hit somebody with the other toe with a hammer. That'll make him forget about the one problem, right? Jokingly, but I mean, that's how it felt. Now this is just simply for me. I've heard other stories of people who had saw this and were like, "Oh, okay," in like a minute, in like a second. For me, it was sitting with the constant negative self-talk, this is completely independent of me. It wasn't like I made a conscious decision. Oh, that's thought. Oh, that's thought. Oh, that one. Oh, that one. No. I wish I could take the credit for that, but I cannot. It was something deeper inside my soul, deeper inside me, that said, look, I actually think I heard, I might sound crazy, but I swear I heard a voice in my head say, look here. And it was like, I remember going like this, like going like, who said that? I'm like, and my wife's, if I say it's my wife, she's going to think I'm going crazy. I'm hearing voices. I don't know if it was a voice, more of a knowing. Like being in love. Nobody can tell you you're in love. You just simply know you're in love. It was that knowing that said, look here. And when I looked there inside of Leonard, it's almost like I had stepped to the side and I could see the thoughts rushing through my head like the stars in the scenarios of Star Trek when they go to warp and the stars just fly by fast. And it's like I had stepped out of that stream and I was looking at it. And I swear to God, that lasted maybe a second and I was back into it. But I knew something had shifted. For me, it's been little, tiny, micro steps to get to where I am now, to talk to people about this, to running a coaching business because I want to see this grow in my part of Canada. And as I said, you, Debra, what you want to do where you are, I want to do here. I want to make my home the most mentally healthy city to live, work, and play in Canada.
You can be our Canadian office.
Or you can be the British office. Exactly.
We have a Boston office too, so we're all going to join together and the whole world is going to be mentally healthy and fit.
Sure, or at least the Western world, yeah. Do you have any other questions for me?
I just think it's really, really good when people share in their own words what has happened for them, because it's kind of obvious in this conversation that we're having that there aren't particular words, or there isn't a right way to talk about this or the right words to say. This is something that we can get a feel for. It's something that every single human being has within them, and we can get a feel for it. But like you said, you never quite know when those little shifts and those things are going to happen. And I know in my experience, I've kind of been on webinars like this and listened and not even realized that I've heard something. And maybe I go out in my life and then I kind of see something different, something, my behavior changes somehow. And it's kind of, oh, what happened? It can kind of sound a little bit weird and woo-woo what we're pointing to, but it's so normal and so everyday.
I have 2 different colored eyes. Trust me. I know what people think when they think it's not normal. Trust me.
Do you know what? We were looking at your picture on Facebook and Beck said to me, I think his eyes look like they're different colours. She said, is that the photo or is that true? I think that's amazing that you've got different coloured eyes.
Yeah, no, my mother has one picture of me when I was 6 months old with blue eyes. And I don't even know, she doesn't even know I was about 7 months and she noticed that they had changed. And I mean, that was part of my problem too. I think I felt weird and abnormal. And I would tell myself, well, I've got weird and abnormals or whatever I was. And, when you talk about a feeling, I always had this feeling of, it felt like I had this stone, this boulder in my chest, not on it, but like right in it. And it was all the negative self-talk that I had been listening to all my life. And it was like, one sentence went to like a huge cacophony of negativity. And I can tell you 5 years ago, I was ready to not be here. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I had all these issues that I thought I had with my father, parents, family, me especially. I was so disappointed in how I had turned out. It's like, well, you're not a muffin that you put in I thought, somebody said, well, Leonard, you're not a muffin that your parents put into a bakery for 18 years and you come out perfect and that's it. Like you don't, that's not the way it is. But I was searching for, I remember I used to say to myself quietly, I just want to feel better. I simply want to stop being in pain. And it was the mental anguish, the mental pain that I was carrying with me, that I was looking outside of myself for the answer. And honestly, if there's been anything in the self-help industry in the last, probably the time I was 20 to the time I was 50. So for those 30 years, if there was anything that you could try to help fix yourself, I did it. I mean, I did it, like emotional eating, dope, pot, marijuana, alcohol, sex, Dale Carnegie, you name it, Tony, I tried them all. Nothing worked. Nothing. For me, I'm not saying it wouldn't work for other people, but for me, it just wouldn't work. And the pain just kept getting bigger and bigger the more I looked, because I was so frustrated. And that cacophony just got so loud. And then at some point, like I said, and I don't know what it was in Michael Neal's book. I don't even know where I was reading it. I just remember reading a chapter and going, oh, that's what it is. That was it. And I find the people that I work with, or the people that have this understanding, the principles, it's not a big, it's the big as it comes, oh, okay. It's like a little pebble dropping, but the ripple effect is so great. Once it starts, If anybody's listening to this, once if you haven't got it yet, please don't give up. It's taken me 5 years to get to where I am to say that I can actually say that I believe that I now have rediscovered my mental health and well-being. That was always there, and that I had simply forgotten because I've been conditioned from life to look for answers to questions that were dealing with issues that did not exist except between my two ears.
Shall we open it up and see if anyone here has got a question?
Beautiful. Sure.
So if anyone would like to ask anything or make a comment about what they're hearing, about what we're talking about, please feel free to unmute yourself and share. And if you've had insights or seen anything, please feel free to join in, ask a question. I think you've answered absolutely everything, Leonard. Nobody has any questions.
Oh, I'm ready. Okay, well, I'll go there. I'm ready. I'm good. I'll just go and.
Oh, hang on. I think Robin might have something to ask. Did you want to ask? You want to say something, Robin?
Yes, if that's okay. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So I just wanted to thank you for sharing, by the way, Leonard, and
Thank
it's
you.
lovely to meet you. So I'm really new to the principles. I only really stumbled across it earlier this year, and it really kind of surprised me because previously I'd tried lots of different things. I'd seen counsellors, I'd been prescribed medication, I'd done NLP, I'd done the other one, and I can't remember what that is. And you
CBT.
CBT, that's the one.
Yeah, in there.
You kind of go into these things like, right, this is going to be it. This is going to fix me.
Absolutely.
And with this, what absolutely amazed me was, I don't need to be fixed because there's nothing actually wrong with me.
Oh, yeah.
But, like the stuff I was trying to cope with better, if you like. I struggle with a lot of anxiety, and more recently, what's amazed me is, okay, I still get it. Like, I still get those feelings.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it's okay. So I've gone from a place of absolute terror, like, oh my God, I can't feel like this. I'm having a panic attack. Just can't cope with it. To, okay, I'm feeling this. It's okay. It's all right. And it's just, yeah, it just amazed me. So, yeah.
That's cool.
It is. It's
super cool.
It is. It's super cool. It's so cool and so simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that.
Thanks.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Has anybody else got anything that they would like to share or any questions they would like to ask? Well, if you want to, you said you had something to say, Leonard. Would you like to carry on for a bit? And we'll see if anyone comes, has got anything. Please feel free to unmute yourself and join in, or, put your hand up.
I don't know why, but I'm looking at Rob, and for some reason what's coming up is to share something, the story of this. I have my sister. I often think of my sister. My sister passed away about 15 years ago. And, it's taken me about 15 years to realize she was in a really bad place. She passed away at the age of 38, and Sunday would have been her 53rd birthday. And one of the things that I'm grateful for is she used to always call me on my bullshit. She would always call me on it, you know. I mean, how many here have siblings? And how many people here have a brother or sister? Yeah. How many people here have never, ever, ever butted heads with their sibling? Exactly. I mean, we were like that. I mean, her kids would fight so badly. It would take two of us to pull them together. They were like their mom and I. They were just, but my sister had the perfect life, I thought. She was married. She had two kids. She had a lovely home in a really nice neighborhood here in Kingston. Had a good part-time job, working with at that time was a man who was working on blindness, was like years ahead of himself. And now his products and services are like known all over the world. She was in a really good space. And then one day I get a phone call, and it's my brother, and he's telling me that my sister's been suicidal for 2 years and he needs help. He doesn't know how to deal with her. And my mom and dad are like at their wits' end. And if you have any members of your family that are struggling, like when I think about my sister and the anxiety that, like Robin, you said anxiety, like the anxiety that my sister's had, the depression that she had, the anger that she had. Oh, was she angry? The bitterness and just this, I don't know, just this seethingness. It scared me. And because I thought that's what's going on the surface of me, that I was this quiet, nice guy, but underneath I had everything that my sister was physically displaying. I was afraid to, because I thought if I do that, people are going to think I'm some type of a whack job, and they're going to put a straitjacket on me and send me to the local psychiatric house. And then there was also a history of mental illness in my family, so I didn't want to be one of those people that were being taken away. I often think if I could sit down with my sister, she was here for one day, and I've done this, like, to simply tell her that she's okay, to give her the space to have her adult temper tantrums, and to simply say, I love you. And looking back, I think, I wish I could have done that with her 15 years ago. I can't. But it's one reason why I'm passionate about what this work does, what this does, because when you show people, I know the power of what this has done for me when I think of myself in relation to my sister and what she went through and what I went through. It's healing. It is so healing. Before I found this understanding, before it came to me, I had been seeing the gentleman was a counselor, but he was a very well-known, very well-written, very well-published psychiatrist. Yeah, because here in Canada, to prescribe drugs, you have to be a psychiatrist. So he was a psychiatrist. And he had put me on these antidepressants. And, I saw him for 15 months. And I literally just told him anything he wanted to hear because I thought maybe that would help me, and it didn't. And then we stopped seeing each other. I thought, well, okay, if you need me, fine. That was March of 13, sorry. And that summer I was like, I'm screwed. I don't know what to do. I've spent all this money on trying to fix myself, and nothing is working. Like, why is it not working? And that was one of the problems, Debra. I kept asking myself, focusing on the negative self-talk of, why is it not working? Why can't I do this? What's wrong with me? All those types of questions. Focusing on those and not having the answers drove me I don't want to say insane, but it felt like I was going out of my mind. Mm-hmm. And I literally was. There was like, I kept going. And I don't know what kept me going. I still, to this day, I've said to my wife, I'm still surprised I've lived this long. I just thought I wouldn't never survive this long, and I'm still here. I'm grateful, don't get me wrong. But if, like Robin said, it's so simple. And I am so thankful to Sydney Banks when he had that aha moment, whenever it was in 72 or 73, because I'm still here and I'm okay. But I mean, I'm always okay. And I think the biggest thing that I can do for my clients is to simply be a beacon of their okayness, even in a world that says they're not.
That is beautiful, because I think that is so true for so many of us, and that's how we separate ourselves out, because we think we are the one who is different. We are the one who is broken. We are the one who this isn't gonna, work for. We're the one who, and that's the kind of talk, that can be in our heads, isn't it? This whole, I'm the one that's different. I'm the one that this isn't going to happen for, or this isn't going to work for.
Yeah.
So it's really, really good, when we begin to see the innate health that's in absolutely everybody, because this that we're pointing to, nobody doesn't have this. Nobody. We are all sitting in the middle of perfect mental health, but we just don't always know that.
Yeah, and I also think I had this idea of what it was supposed to be like, if that makes any sense. I thought that I wouldn't have any anxious thoughts or any depressive thoughts, or I would never have any, until I stopped that tape from running through my head. I would never have, well, no, let me rephrase that. Once I was finally able to stop that tape, I was mentally healthy. That's what I told myself. But again, that was another layer of looking, searching for something outside of myself that, just added one more layer to the cake of search. The Google, if searching for mental health and well-being could be a Google search, I probably was maxing out my bandwidth. I was probably filling in that search bar for as much as I was probably pushing it. I pushed it to the limit. And like you said, it was my job. I realized one day this summer that my job wasn't, I'd spent my life from the time I was 20, late into high school till 5 years ago. My job had been to try to fix me. That was it. I didn't care about anything else. I just wanted to get fixed. And then when you realize that there's nothing wrong with you, as someone said to me once, first the truth will piss you off, and then it will set you free.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, when I found this, I was very happy, but for about 2 weeks, I was pissed. I was like, what do you mean this is in Canada? What do you mean this is in 1973? Like, I was 10 and 73. Like, I could have saved myself a whole lot of time. This guy had to come east, instead of being out on the west coast of Vancouver, which is about 3,000 miles away, right? It's like, I was like, what do you mean? And how come I had to be an American that showed me this in a book? Why couldn't have been a Canadian? Like, what's going on here? It's like, I'm scratching my head. And I'm like, but again, it was allowing myself to go through that I knew that was part of my healing process. I had to go through that and be mad, be pissed, upset. And then it just got better. Life has gotten better. I can't say that inside, like, I'm still the same person outside, but I mean, for years, before my wife and I were married, and we've been married for 4 years, we've been together for 10. She would be afraid to say things because I would just snap, and I was like, what? And then I would feel like bad because I said the wrong thing to her. I'm like, well, why am I so sensitive? Why can't I be a real man, or something, and then again, there's another question of basically what's wrong with me in some form or another. I don't know. Does anybody have any questions? There's something from Erica to all of us.
Yeah, I think I saw something from Erica.
When I feel that nearly every day I've reached a point where I don't care, nor does anyone else, or able to, so why be here? The pain hurts beyond, and when it doesn't, tired of the disconnect. Yep. Got nothing to offer. Oh, that's not true. Have ultimately nothing to, and so tired of feeling resentment, sadness, loss, anger, depression, blah, 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 my thoughts. The blah, 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 absolutely. Absolutely. Erica, if you want to reach out and have a talk, please do. I'm willing to sit down with you. Thank God we live in a world where we can have talks and computers all over the place. See the future, what did come true for some ways. And see, Star Trek did change the world. That's an actual book, I guess. My friend says, in Omatreka, they go, there's a book apparently called How Star Trek Changed the World. I haven't read it, but whatever. But I guess, Erica, when you say got nothing to offer and negative, yep. I honestly thought that I used to see myself as, I used to see that if the world had a behind, and every night it shot everything that was bad into space, I was part of that. I was a big clump of that just got shot into space because there's absolutely nothing fundamentally good, worthwhile, worth saving in Leonard Irwin. That was my fundamental belief. And people knew that. I was proudly telling them that. And I would say to people, look at my life and don't do what I'm doing. If you want to have a really good life, there's a time in my life, actually, I used to think that, and I don't even know how I got this, but I believe that God had put me here to be an example of what not to do with your life. That when I got to heaven, I would be rewarded for living such a bad, awful life. But I had to be that. That's what my life was meant to be. I was created to be an example to others of how not to live their life. If you don't want to be a cesspool of human existence, don't do what I do. Now imagine living that life, Debra, when you're seeing that when you're a 15-year-old boy.
Mm.
Or and I remember having that when I was 10. It was after my 10th birthday, and I remember thinking that about myself. I was 10.
And I think that is real testament to what it is we're sharing here, because
yes.
Erica is saying, that this has been going on a long time and how terrible she feels and how bad. And it's like you're here saying you were like that you can remember that from when you were 10, and when you were about 50, that was kind of when you saw. And there's no, we don't know when people are going to see something, but being in this conversation, putting yourself, all the people who are here tonight, thank you for being here. It's an amazing conversation to be in, and you just never know when you're going to hear something, and something is going to change. Something huge is going to shift and change. And like you say, it might only be tiny, tiny little things, but it's amazing when you think how huge the fallout can be from just the tiniest little shift.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I said, I grew up on a farm. So, I understand about the cycle until I was in my 30s. I understand about the cycle of, planting and doing everything. There's a maple tree on my mom's farm next to her house it's got to be 5 stories tall. And I remember planting that when it was maybe 2 feet high, and it was probably, I don't know, about the size of this, the thickness of this pen. And it had 2 little leaves on it. Now, 40 some odd years later, it shades my mom's backyard and her pool and her deck. But we didn't know how that would turn out like that.
Mm.
I mean, and the roots go down but I mean, I think this understanding, if people understand the power of it, it goes both ways. It goes deep inside of you, but it somehow allows you to grow in a way that you don't know.
I love that. That is beautiful. Imagining that, the tree with the deep roots that really ground us and keep us, in the soil, and then the beautiful fruit and leaves and blossom, and that's lovely. That's really lovely.
Thanks.
So I'm just kind of aware of the time. So has anyone got any questions or anything that they would like to add or share? Anything they would like to ask our lovely Leonard?
Hi.
Hi, Birdie.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Leonard. Hi, Debra. I'd just like to thank Leonard for sharing from the heart. And I met Leonard, I think, in the very beginning when he first joined the Principles, and how he's changed, and his courage to come out and share a story of hope and resilience and, well-being. It's just absolutely beautiful to see you and the work that you're doing, and take my hat off to you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Birdie. That's lovely. It is amazing, isn't it, when we know people, there are people on this call whose names that I can see that I have just watched them. And when Leonard was sharing, about the tree, and that I could just see how, people have grown and blossomed and changed, and they have really secure, grounded roots now, and the beautiful things they're doing out in the world. It's wonderful to watch.
Yeah.
Wonderful to see. So I want to really thank you tonight, Leonard.
Thank you.
Really, really, really lovely. Oh yeah, and Andrea said really enjoyed listening to Leonard. So
thank you.
It's been really lovely to kind of hear you sharing, and I think that is one of the beautiful things. I think people can be in such a hopeless place, and yet what we're pointing towards offers such hope. Amazing hope to people.
Yeah, and to get it and to see it, like you said, Debra, the top was called. There's no one right way. Everybody's going to find it in their own way. And when you see it, you'll know. Again, it's like being in love. Nobody can tell you. You'll simply know. You know when you're in love because you know, and you'll know when you've hit that well. You've hit that pool of mental well-being, because you'll know that there's something different.
Well, it's been an absolute delight and a pleasure to have you with us tonight. And I think, yes, we can officially say you're a lovely person. I think
thank you.
I think you passed the test.
Does that mean I can get my British passport now?
Oh yes, absolutely. And if you come to England, you have to come and visit us here down in Devon. So Debra, the other Debra on the call, says, thank you, Leonard, you've been great to listen to. It's amazing to know that I am not alone, as I thought.
Yes, sir, it did change the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, Star Trek did.
It certainly did. Yeah, it
did. Sliding doors. Everybody said sliding doors. For Star Trek, there were revolving doors, and then they had the sliding doors. Apparently that's a true story. Nobody ever thought of having sliding doors because they were all revolving doors.
Wow.
I don't know.
Everybody's saying thank you. Yeah, it's really been lovely to listen to you.
Likewise.
So we have a lovely people webinar like this every week, and we have all sorts of different speakers who speak in very, very different ways, which is kind of like what I love to do, because I think it's really, really helpful for people to hear this. You know, you just never know when something somebody says is going to spark something in you. So if anyone wants to join us another week, we are here at 7 o'clock till 8 o'clock. You know, talking about this understanding, having a conversation here, and it's always great to have people join us. Who is our lovely person? Maria Wood. Yeah. Oh, so next week we have the lovely Maria Wood, who is our lovely person. So if anyone knows Maria, she's a lovely, lovely, lovely lady. And if you don't know her, come along and meet her, because you're in for a treat. So yeah, that's next week. We have Maria. And for those of you that live in the North Devon area, if you live near enough to where we are, we have our physical meetup tomorrow night from 6:30 till 8:30. Can't remember what time it was then. Tomorrow evening at Barnstable. So if you want to know more about that or want to come along, please feel free to do so. Is there anything else I'm supposed to say, Beck? Is that our next workshop? Yeah. So also, if you live near enough, and Leonard, you know, it's not very far from Canada, please pop over, because on the 24th of November, we've got our next workshop day. So here where we live, we all get together for the day, and we talk about this understanding. We eat cake, we have lots of nice food and tea. You know, it's great fun. We laugh a lot. And so, you know, if you would be most welcome to come and join us, Leonard. Hang on.
Likewise, you can come to Canada sometime.
Yes, we should definitely go to Canada.
Yes, we
should
will
definitely come to Canada and come to my hometown, because then you could spend a 2 or 3 day trip or overnight, or going to Toronto or Ottawa or Montreal.
Cool. Okay, then.
So you can get and the US, if you don't mind going. It's right across the river from where I live.
Oh, I don't mind where I go. Yeah, we will absolutely come for a visit. You must come to England, and we must
likewise
come to Canada.
We'll have to keep in touch.
Yeah, it would be cool.
Yeah.
It's really been a delight and a pleasure.
Yes.
Oh, so, and Robin's coming with us. Robin is coming with us to Canada when we come to visit. So I hope you've got a big house or a garden where we can put up some tents, because I think you might have a bit of a house full when we all...
Well, we got a big basement.
Oh, so it looks like... Oh, yeah, Robin, you've got to give Debra the time off so she can come too, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a lot of visitors.
We have a lot of space in Canada.
Cool, that's good. So yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and Erica's coming too. Brilliant, Erica. You never know, that might be when you have this huge insight and shift.
Hey, we have a lot of nature, and the Great Lakes are right about 2 kilometers that way.
Oh, Robin makes great cakes. Yeah, I can vouch for that. So Robin is going to make a cake and bring it with her to Canada. Okay, Robin?
Customs might have something to say about that, but you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you, let me have a look. What can I do here? So I will unmute everybody so that everybody can say goodbye. Have I done it right? Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
Everybody can. Why does it keep muting everybody back? If you would like to say goodbye, everybody, it's just been wonderful, and hopefully see some of you again very, very soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye.